deep underground military bases, although, well, I'm not sure if we can add the word military all the time, but they're deep and underground. And now I want to show you some photos, because until now, these things were always put in the perspective of the Earth being a globe with curvature spinning in space with gravity at 1,000 miles per hour. But now, if you take into consideration the vibes of Cosmos maps and the knowledge which goes beyond even the Gleason map, which is the classical map of James Cook, Captain James Cook, and all the stuff we see online since 2015, 2016. But now with the vibes of Cosmos map and with these things of the underground bases and the tunnels, things get a new perspective. And also taking into consideration the 150 years our human society, which was repopulated in the 1800s. This is a map. Don't mind the title, because this whole thing about Andromedan sources of information, just leave that behind. But the purpose of this is the world. Now, this is the map that we are used to, and unfortunately it's the only thing we have to grab ourselves to something. This is from 1996, and if these are the locations, at least the known locations, of the different entrances of tunnels to the deep underground bases and cities, then that is truly amazing. We even have places in remote areas like the north and the south, and even in the middle of the ocean, the middle of nowhere, and the deserts. The big majority of them are in the States, well, in North America and South America, but there's a bunch in Eurasia and Africa as well. So I'm going to read this text at the end, because I want to show you some photos first, and we're going to finish the video with the text. This is kind of like an example of what you could put inside these entrances before even reaching the places, the cities, right? So we have like these trolleys, like with this huge, our industry type of technology. Just look at the size or the height of that place from the floor to the ceiling, because we have places where you can put trains and ships and boats. Now, this is what we call a magnetically levitated train, a maglev, right? Electromagnetic levitation, maintenance shaft, main tunnel section, magnetic track. So if this is real and underground, we have these tunnels which are created by those nuclear powered machines that melt the rock, and they create this black glass ceiling, and you can easily construct all this for a magnetic levitation train that goes from the west coast to the eastern coast of the States, for example, in half an hour. So from Los Angeles to New York in half an hour. Imagine. Now, places in underground were for storage of supplies, lots and lots of income and input and output of everything you can imagine for people to live. And this is the most important thing. And this is what I like about the TV series like The 100 or other TV series and movies. They show you how you can grow crops and vegetation using artificial light and hydroponics underground. So you don't even need the power of the sun or the environment. They even grow way better underground with artificial light and heat and water than they grow on the surface, because on the surface we have storms, we have ice, we have rains, we have floods, we have tornadoes, and underground they're protected. So you can imagine the type of humanity you can have and develop underneath. The Svalbard seed vault is to provide insurance against both incremental and catastrophic loss of crop diversity held in traditional seed banks around the world. The seed vault offers fail-safe protection for one of the most important natural resources on Earth. This is in the middle of nowhere in Svalbard, the last island in the north before reaching Hyperborea, which is forbidden to go in a straight line. So you can imagine if something happens and the whole world is empty like it was in the 1800s, how do you repopulate the world? Also with agriculture. Fascinating stuff. Svalbard, the machine. Now these are the machines. I've shown you the maglev trains, so the magnetically levitated trains. How do you create the tunnels for these trains to go through? Well, there you go. The tunnel machines. Which are, they said, is like the machine that tunnels a mile in minutes with nuclear-powered, melts rock instantly and leaves black glass-like mold. It's used for the walls. And then you put the magnetic train, it connects tunnels, and air is vacuumed and out and from Los Angeles to New York in 26 minutes or half an hour. And this creates super fast places like that. So, again, examples of photos. Now, if when you see this in the perspective of the real map of the world, it makes more sense than seeing it before with all these aliens and the globe and space and Andromeda and all that thing. And this is an example of those machines. I'm not sure if all of them are nuclear powered, because sometimes you see them non-nuclear powered, maybe not. But I mean, in the end of the day, how much do we know? It's only what they allow us to know. Entire fleets of ships can go inside these tunnels in these places. Entire trains, maglevs, advanced transportation system exceeding the speeds of Mach 1 or Mach 1. Lots of inner tunnels within the tunnels. Imagine there's like labyrinths. So I guess they have the maps and the navigation systems appropriate for navigation. And I would just want to show you this. Now, don't mind the author, which was a geologist engineer. I'm not going to go into that. But the point here is that if you can create 10 mile per hour tunnels, that speed, and you can tunnel 7 miles in one day, then you can imagine what they did from the 1940s up until today to create underground cities interconnected with magnetically levitated trains where you can have millions of people eating and living. So my question is, because if those people are like you and me, or even like superior people with technology, then that should open the doors and the perspective to new concepts and new technology and new ways of thinking. Mentioning these places like in the ice, because as you know, there's places in the world, very remote places with mountains of ice, and there's tunnels inside those mountains. You can call them the Arctic or Antarctic, I don't mind. But in the end of the day, the remote, lots of ice in the middle of nowhere, tunnels, the end of the world, well, the end of the world, because there's different parts of the end of the world, right? And who created these places in the first place? Or like the age of these things, were they there before and our humanity just used them? Or is it a creation of our humanity? And that's the fascinating thing. Svalbard in ice, so you can imagine many more like bigger places like these in the ice shelves, in the icebergs, and remote places like Siberia and Canada and Alaska, and the places near Hyperborea, and the places near the ice shelf, if you take the Vibes of Cosmos maps, and the submarines. Now imagine the submarines from Germany with the elite going in a straight line under the ocean and then accessing these tunnels and then going to a different place, what they call Neuswabia, Neuschwabenland, beyond the ice, on Pangaea continent, like I've shown you in the previous videos with Vibes of Cosmos. And if we have fleets of submarines and ships, we also have jets and airplanes, because people think about these jets and airplanes as if they can only stay on the surface, on land or the ocean, but they can also go in tunnels deep underground, because that's how massive those places are. And you can also build there lots of ships. And mentioning stargates, if stargates exist or not, I truly want to believe that they exist, and you can teleport yourself to different places using the Arcs of Triumph as well back in the day, and also the stargates. Now let's go to the last text. I want to read this because it's mighty impressive. So I don't know if it's the US military or not, but we know that there's deep underground military bases. It says here 140. I'm not sure if that's the number or not, but the general public, we don't have access to this information. However, they say that worldwide there are nearly 15,000. So 15,000, not 115, not 1,000, but 15,000, and who knows how many more. Reportedly under construction since the 1940s, which means that during the Second World War, they started building. So was that a different humanity as well who started building? Because our humanity was busy with the things on the surface. These bases are on average the size of a small city, 10 to 30 miles, which is 16 to almost 50 kilometers across. That's a lot, 10 to 30 miles or 16 to 50 kilometers. That's a big city. So an average depth of 4 miles. So it's pretty deep, to go 4 miles underground. And they are carved out by massive nuclear-powered laser drilling machines. So they're nuclear-powered with the real nuclear power laser drilling machines, which they melt the rock and they create that perfect glass, which keeps the tunnel safe from crumbling. And then you put these magnetically levitated trains underground to connect these cities. The bases are stocked with food and supplies and have the ability to grow crops with artificial lighting and the conditions underground. So yeah, that's I don't have a photo of the city, but let's put this here, for example, with artificial lighting and the maglev train. Once you know this, things get a new perspective. But you have to put this perspective with the real world map and what we learned from my Vibes of Cosmos. So thanks for watching. Always stay happy. I'm trying to stay happy, and see you in the next video.